Welcome to this week's episode of What's Up Wandsworth. I'm here at the wine tasting shop in Balham with Rex. Rex, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing over the last couple of months and what you see happening here at the wine tasting shop.
So of course, thank you. And welcome, Otto, to the wine tasting shop on Hildreth Street. My name is Rex Rosales. I'm the owner of the venue. And my wife and I took over the wine tasting shop about 5 months ago, towards the end of April. Before that, I was a lawyer in the city for 30 years, working in finance and principally aircraft finance. But after that long stint in the city, I felt it was time to make a change. And I decided to retire in any case from my position as a partner in a law firm. And I was looking for something to do. The thought of running a small business in a community kind of appealed to me. So I looked for different types of businesses. I was looking at cafe or things like that. And then I came across a wine shop, a nice little wine shop, but it was quite far. It was in Bow. So about an hour away from our house. We actually live in Balham. So the thought of sort of taking the tube for an hour to go to work didn't appeal too much. So my wife said, well, why don't we contact the people who own the wine shop down the road? So she took matters into her own hands and she emailed on the inquiries of the website and say, hello, fancy selling your business. And they replied, well, are you thinking of keeping it as a wine shop? We said, yes. I said, okay, let's speak. So that was the start of our journey in wine. But the shop has been here for 12 years, really. So the previous owner started here in the market in 2010 or so, and she was one of the first businesses in this sort of transformation of Hildreth Street into what it is today. And then the other sort of brunch places and other restaurants followed suit after that. She was the original here. And their lease was coming up to the sort of renewal time. And for them, they'd been working on this project for 12 years, and I think they wanted to move on to something else. It just happened to be the right time that we made the inquiry. So we started discussions in late last year. And after discussing with them, doing a bit of due diligence, and obviously there's the legal formalities.
Which you would be very familiar with.
Yes, personally familiar with it. I did hire lawyers because only a fool would have himself as a lawyer, but it went very well, I have to say. That the former owners are very nice people, and it was a very amicable process. And for them, it was sort of their project to start off with, and they wanted to see it succeed. So they wanted to make sure, A, that it was going into safe hands of someone who wanted to continue with the wine shop. Not necessarily in exactly the same way as them, but just to continue the wine story, the focus on wines, and they just wanted to see it succeed. Now they're traveling and they're sort of spending their time visiting different places
and drinking wine.
I'm sure drinking better than wine. Yeah,
great. So you didn't necessarily set out when you were leaving your legal career to be a wine shop owner, but did you always, like wine? Was it a sort of a passion for you?
Absolutely. I stumbled upon the business element of wine just recently, but ever since I was sort of in my teens, I was reading up on wines. So my dad was very much into his wine. He'd have books like Hugh Johnson's Encyclopedia of Wine. And I remember as a sort of teenager going through that, just reading about these regions of Bordeaux and Burgundy. And interestingly, when I look back, I think it was the second edition that I started leafing through. There's probably one page on New Zealand. And in the 8th edition that I bought more recently for the business, there are about a dozen pages on New Zealand. So it shows sort of the evolution of wine. So I got into that there, and my godfather, actually, his dad was a winemaker in Switzerland. So my dad and him would always be discussing about wines, and I'd just be listening in, sort of, what are you guys talking about? I was old enough then I drink with them and learn about the wines. And so I learned that way, sort of by experience and by really listening. And then I worked in Paris for 5 years. And that's when I really got into wine, sort of living in Paris and having the opportunity to visit wine regions very much at your door within an hour and a half or 2 hours. You get to Burgundy, you get to Alsace, you get to Champagne. So I visited all these regions and really started speaking to the winemakers, going for wine tastings and just learning about it, and doing wine tastings in Paris as well, going to learn about the technical aspects of wine, and just very much enjoying it. And since then, buying wines en primeur. And really for me, wine is about enjoyment, and it's about learning from other people. You'll never know everything about wine. There's always someone who knows different aspects more than you. And I love the exchange. I love the exchange with people and their experiences with the wine and discovering new wine regions or new grapes, new varieties, and putting it all together, piecing it all together.
Yeah, great. You lived in Balham at the time, so in some ways it was a given, but as you say, you didn't know that the business was actually available. I mean, in some ways it wasn't. But living in Balham, have you visited the sort of previous iteration of the wine tasting shop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was a regular as working in the city, then, pre-COVID as well. If you're going out on a Thursday night or Friday, you tend to stay
in the city.
So I didn't really tend to come here to drink. I bought wines here before, so I would come around, buy some wines if I was having a dinner party or taking a nice bottle to a friend. I would have frequented the shop element more than the bar side of the business previously.
Yeah, we're talking about Wandsworth, we're talking about Balham. You really see it living up on the weekend and maybe more the Saturday. Hildreth Street is busy from early in the morning with the farmers market till sort of late in the evening with the wine shop having its outdoor patio and so on, which is great. So you mentioned that the previous owners were one of the first ones here on Hildreth Street as we see it today. And for those of you listening who are not familiar, you should come by and check it out, especially on a Saturday. It has a great little farmers market and it has the wine tasting shop. It has a few different restaurants and so on. But it could easily have been nothing. It could have been in the state it was before, because I believe it was quite run down, 12 years ago. So how do you think about that? And you're investing a bit into the business, right? And you want to see it grow. How do you see the area developing from here?
I see that it's really vibrant, and I see that a lot of young professionals are moving in.
Yeah.
So that's from, seeing who our customer base is. In the 5 months, I'm seeing almost a transformation, a very sort of rapid transformation. A lot of young people getting into wine. Well, interestingly, one of the events that we instituted, we call BYOB, Bring Your Own Baby. And it's a Tuesday afternoon tasting, 4 wines, very casual. It's, 8 to 10 people, mostly mothers, but sometimes it's a father coming in with newborn to sort of 6 months old. It's like babies that stay in a pram or that can stay in their arms. And they either come with their partner or with even their parents or their in-laws or brother, sister, or they come with, their friends. And some of them actually make contact here. They've enriched their network, speaking to other people for a number of months there when the lady is pregnant. So she's not drinking. Maybe her husband's not drinking that much, or her partner not drinking that much to be, for solidarity. So after that, they want to they go out there and
they want to have the best.
They want to have the best, and they enjoy themselves. Yeah. And I love it. I really love sort of that aspect of what I do here. It's conversing with people. It's finding out, what they do, where they're from, what do they like, their tastes in wine. And it's surprising how much people actually do know about wine, and sometimes it's a bit daunting. People think, oh, I don't know anything, but they do. They do. And it's trying to converse with them to bring it out and to express. And they say, you say, oh, this wine smells of stone fruit or of apricots. I said, that's what I was thinking, but I was too hesitant to say it. But just say it, More often than not, you'll be right. It's a question of expressing it, having a bit of confidence to talk about the wines and enjoying it. It's principally about enjoyment.
Yeah, I actually heard from a neighbor who's a recent mother who went to the event and she said it was packed, People really enjoy it. I think you're onto something, and the wine tastings are it's just that special thing that maybe you do during the week, or maybe not every week, but every month.
It's actually, we've coming into September and then October, we're going to make it every week.
Every week,
It's so popular.
Yeah.
So not every week is packed, but some weeks, we've had like 10, 12 people with their babies. It looks a bit chaotic, but it's really a lot of fun. And they enjoy themselves. And then later on, they come back. I've made friends with some of them who came to the very initial, sort of BYOB. So it's really great to see. And it's that we want to be part of the community. So we're looking for other aspects that sort of knit our business into the community.
Yeah.
We really like that feel. It's for everybody. Wine is for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not a snobby thing. And that's why it's all about a little bit of knowledge, and we're imparting a little bit of knowledge to people in those wine tastings. It's very casual. They like it. And then they know more. When they have friends over, they can talk about the wine and they say, this is something that we tasted, and it smells of again, apricot, it tastes of peach, and then you get the conversation going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess wine is one of those things that some people say, well, I don't drink wine, or they think that they don't know anything about wine, so they are sort of doomed to buy the cheaper wines at one of the mass grocery stores. But what would you say to someone who thinks it's a bit expensive to spend maybe, 20, 25 pounds on a bottle of wine?
Yeah, I think it's, you might not want to do that every day.
Yeah.
But it's a nice thing to bring in. And if you're used to certain types of wines, then it's an interesting thing to say, well, maybe we'll try an 8-pound bottle of wine and see how it compares to a 20-pound bottle of wine. You drink it out, you do the compare, you do the contrast, and you see how you go. And also sometimes the more expensive bottles of wine, you just come here to have a glass instead of a whole bottle.
Yeah.
And then you see how you go. And then if you like it, then you drink a little bit more. Or a lot of people come here, they'll buy a bottle of wine as a gift.
And you make a good point there, which is that you can actually come here and taste the wine, hence the name, the wine tasting shop, I guess. And you can have a glass of it, or you can then decide to buy a whole bottle. How much do you, I guess what I'm asking is, how much do you focus on the sort of in-store experience of people drinking and eating a bit? You also have some cold cuts and so on that you serve, versus selling bottles. Is it 50-50 focus? Or?
Actually, in the summer, it's more almost 65% is bar, is drink in. We've seen a big uptick in the summer, possibly due to the nice weather. And so we've got a nice terrace outside. So people have been sitting there. We have live music on Fridays. So yeah, we focus a lot on that. And we focus a lot as well on the types of wines that we bring in. So obviously we'll try to bring in some wines that are top shelf, and there's a customer base for that, and they'll want to buy some wine. They might put it down for a year or two and then drink it and experience it that way. But also we want to bring in wines that are drinkable now, and some wines that are just pleasing to the palate. So not too complex, but just nice to drink on a warm summer's evening. So we have like a nice variety, which we try to bring that in. We focus a lot on that. And our staff is great. We've got, 3 full-time staff. All 3 know a lot about wines. They've got qualifications. So we've tasted every wine that we bring in. We've also just recently painted, and just trying to give it a calm feel, but kind of an inviting, a nice sort of darker gray to give it sort of a chill factor. We brought in some plants and changed the furniture a little bit just to make it comfortable. So
yeah, no, it looks great.
Focusing on that in-store experience, and we're just starting on that journey. We'll continue. We've got more things planned.
Yeah. And so Rex, you've been running this for about 5 months now. What's one thing about running a relatively small business or a wine shop that surprised you, that you thought before you started, oh, I had no idea it worked like this?
There's a lot of admin. Just for a small business, you'd think I can do the admin in half a day, but there's just a lot. So I thought I would just be down the wine shop selling wine and pouring wine to people and talking. No, there's actual admin, but it's fine. You deal with that. But what I found interesting as well is it's because we bring in a lot of wines. We rotate our wines quite a lot, and that's quite time consuming. So definitely we've got Chris, who's the buyer, does a fantastic job. But it's good that we exchange what we bring in, and so that takes quite a lot of time. But that's very enjoyable.
Do you spit?
Oh yes, definitely. You gotta spit it out.
Yeah,
it's impossible to keep up.
And you've said, Rex, that it doesn't become a job, but I guess someone like me or someone listening who just drinks wine casually, they maybe don't understand the spitting thing. But yeah, I guess that aspect of it, because you drank wine before, but did you taste wine?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And, I know about the spitting because, sometimes you go to visit wineries, sometimes the times at which they receive you is like 10:30 or 11 in the morning. I find it quite difficult to be drinking wine at that time. So, you get your taste buds ready and you try the wine and spit it out. Because you got to pace yourself as well. Also, you don't want to overcharge your palate. And so you got to make sure that you're kind of fresh. So you spit out, you drink a lot of water. And typically they'll have some graham crackers to help you change the taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
So you do a little bit of that.
Neutralize it, yeah.
Yeah, neutralize the taste.
And you've been on a journey now of getting, I don't think the word is certification, but getting the different tests that you can make.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Is it something normal people should consider doing?
Yes, and there's some qualifications that are run and by what's called the WSET, Wine and Spirits Education Trust, and that's an international body. And they have different levels. They have level 1 through to 4, and then you can become a master of wine. But master of wine is not for everybody. I mean, that's a lifetime's work and of drinking wine. But, you know, definitely a level 1 of the WSET is very good. My wife has done that, and she passed, and she professes not to know anything about wine. She probably knows more than she lets on.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's a really good one because it gives you some of the terminology and some of the distinctions. As you know, if you read a label, sometimes you just need instruction to decipher what the label tells you a lot, right? So going to that level 1 course is quite interesting. And then you get into it, you might go to level 2.
Which level are you at?
So we're level 3 now, but some of the other guys are like Chris, our buyer, he's on to the diploma. He's done level 3, and Patrick, he's done level 3 as well. He's finished that. So we've got some people who know quite a lot about the technicalities of it. I mean, it's not it's not an absolute must to do these things, but you know, it's a good thing, and it gives you a bit of grounding, gives you a bit of confidence as well.
I just want to go back to what you said about being surprised at the sort of level of admin or how much admin there was. Is there anything you think that could be done to help small businesses do their jobs for them? And as you say, you run a regulated business with the license and on, and that's obviously important to protect people from excessive drinking, etc. But yeah, is there anything that can be done?
Yeah, well, I think maybe things are there, but it's just maybe have it almost like having a pack or just like a checklist for people who want to start I was fortunate in the sense that the business was already running.
Yeah.
So I could sort of decipher it, and the previous owners were very helpful in giving me the majority of things, but there are things that slip through the cracks and then you have to do yourself. But there's so many aspects. There's a music license, there's a pavement license, there's, in addition to the premises license, the alcohol license. If you want to serve outside, you get a pavement license, and then if you want to play music, you get a music license, and all of these things, almost like a checklist for a small business, could be helpful for someone starting off from scratch.
Yeah.
That could be very helpful.
No, I think that's a good idea. I mean, for you, presumably with your legal career, you sort of think in these ways, you know, do I need some sort of permission to be doing this? But, you know, for a lot of people, I guess it would feel daunting.
Yes, exactly.
Even taking on the...
Yeah, it could be quite helpful for them. And I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to encourage people to start small businesses, give a community feel. And I mean, we're fortunate in the sense that on Hildreth Street, these are all local businesses.
Yeah.
So the biggest business is probably Brindisa. You know, they're not huge. It's not like a multinational chain. They just have a few outlets. So yeah, we like that. We like that feel. It's nice as well because I think it's for people who come in, it's nice to see the owners and to speak to them and to exchange. And then you see a lot of the same people coming in. It just gives a nice feel. And we want it to be inviting. We want people to think, yeah, I'd like to come there. And, you know, sometimes if they're on their own, we have people who just come on their own, sit down, and then we have a chat. Yeah. And they say, you know, oh, it's been a long day, because I think that's important in this world where a lot of people are working from home. So some big businesses have completely remote. So they don't have that human interaction that they used to have.
Right.
So small businesses, local businesses, important for them to come down at the end of the day or even at lunchtime. Sometimes I see people that I know who come here to drink in the evening. I see them at one of the other businesses for lunch. I stop by, say hello.
Yeah.
And it's great that they feel that it's a community. They can come down, and especially in the evening, you know, it's not a rowdy bar. You wouldn't feel threatened here. It's not like people getting violently drunk and sort of being pests and difficult. So yeah, people just feel that, and I like that. People just feel that it's possible for them to come down and we just have a drink on their own, or even sometimes, you know, just on a Sunday afternoon, sit outside, read the paper or read a book.
Yeah.
Some people do that. Yeah, I like that they feel comfortable.
Oh, that's a great point. You know, with working from home and after the pandemic, you know, it's a great boon for somewhere like Balham and Wandsworth, where a lot of young professionals generally would then be at home and they would be spending their money in the local community, which is a good thing. But are they missing out? And, you know, can the community provide for them what they're sort of missing. And I think you're doing a great job with that.
Thank you. No, we set out to do that. And I think you could see that, around there's small businesses opening up. We saw that there's a bookshop opening up.
Yeah.
So all good things. I think it's a great place to live. We're really enjoying it. We're really enjoying being part of the community. So for me, it's a sea change to what I used to do, where,
Sure.
People were saying, so what's the difference? Well, the difference is when I used to work as a lawyer, when clients would come to see me, they'd be really stressed, and because there's a lot of money at play, it's like time sensitive and you got to get to do things. And sometimes they're a bit aggressive. They want to get one over the counterparty.
Sure.
And so, that you live and breathe that, and you're sort of stressed. When I come here, when I meet the customers, they want to de-stress. When they speak to you, they just want to speak about, their
wine,
day, the wine,
yeah.
anything really. And I love that. I love just the feeling that, can help people just to chill and enjoy themselves, enjoy the wine and enjoy their evening. And then they can go home and then they can stress again at their job the next day. But when they're here, they shouldn't stress.
Yeah. No, that's a great sentiment. I think this has been a great conversation, Rex. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time, Otto. Thank you for coming.